a husband and father, a saxophone player, a little boy and his sister, a young girl who hopes to be a teacher one day, all residents of Northeast Alabama, each with a story to tell about what it means to be a child of children's. Charles Campbell remembers that day in late January of 1986, the day the Space Shuttle Challenger exploded. It also was the day that Charles almost died.
I was diagnosed with Reye syndrome at Riverview Regional Hospital in Gadsden. They transferred me to Children's Hospital.
Reye syndrome is a rare, life-threatening illness contracted by children and teenagers, usually after a viral illness. It may attack all organs of the body, but usually the brain and liver are most seriously affected.
They had me paralyzed when I got there. They had machines hooked up on me for 8 days. My brain swelled, blood pressure dropped, and all that stuff. On the 8th day, the doctor that was treating me told the nurse to start taking equipment off of me as I felt comfortable.
But as Charles was being taken off the ventilator, his throat began to swell. His windpipe was blocked, and he couldn't breathe. So an emergency tracheotomy was performed.
Children's Hospital saved my life.
Today, Charles still depends on the trach he received at Children's. And now that he has his own son, he's glad to know the hospital is here, should his family ever need it.
Children's Hospital is the place that I'd take them. That's the best hospital for a child. Children's Hospital.
Jessica Shedd was just 4 years old when a serious car crash sent her to Children's.
The front end of our car went underneath the U-Haul trailer. I don't remember much about what was happening because I was unconscious for most of the time, but it was bad. Like, it was really bad. It wasn't, they were talking about me going into a coma and not waking up.
She was in Children's ICU for, I think, 3 days, and was on, a level of life support during that entire period. She had what was called orbital blowout fracture, where the eye was completely taken out of the socket and was down inside. But you just, at the very best, you're not concerned with how physically she would look. You're just hoping that she's at least got vision. When the surgeon said, "God's hand has been in this child's eye tonight," I knew that it was a place of comfort. It was a place where they allowed God to do His work. Not just her vision was restored, but her physical beauty was restored, and she's completely restored. Thanks for their expertise and specialization in this area as far as what they do, and knowing exactly what to do during such a brief period of time when the minutes are just so precious.
I love hospital, and I get to see my friends, and I'm in dance line with the marching band. I play the saxophone. I'm a 3-year saxophone player. I can play the piano. I love school so much. You can't really tell now that I've been in a car accident, and I think that's because of Children's Hospital. I think I did experience a miracle at Children's Hospital.
When McKenzie first showed signs of reflux, I felt that I knew that it was the same as Chase's, and I knew that we'd go to Children's. Her biopsy was fine, but her reflux episode was 52 times in 24 hours. And if you have a child that does not get treated for that, it will turn into esophageal cancer. So it's something that we've got to get a hold of. Being from North Alabama, it is a drive to go to Children's, but it's worth every minute of it. And I would go to Children's any day with any problem that my kids have. If you take your child to somewhere that's not a specialist for children, they'll do their best, but they're not a specialist for kids. And it's different. When you go to Children's, everything there is focused on kids. It gives you peace. You can take your kids there and know that you have the peace of knowing you're doing the best you can for your kids. And you also have the peace of knowing that when you come out, you'll have an answer for what's wrong with your kids.
Children's Hospital is special because they take care of you.
I had to go to Children's Hospital because I had a mass in the back of my head and it made me not see out of my eyes.
It was very scary, especially when the optometrist tells you, you don't owe me anything, please get her to the hospital. He just says you need to get her there as quickly as possible so whatever is going on can be treated. When we got to Children's Hospital, it was on a Saturday night before Easter, and I thought we were going to be here several hours before she even gets treated, but before I could even find a seat to sit down, they had called my daughter's name back. And she went back, and one of the doctors or nurses said, "Is this the patient we've been waiting on?" And that made us feel really good. We had been there probably a little over an hour, and in that length of time, I can't tell you how many they'd done MRIs, x-rays, spinal taps, they had done all of that in just a little over an hour's time. And they were immediately able to rule out, the specialist was, we don't think it's a tumor, which was a great relief. During the whole time, Salem's eyesight being gone, I was praying. On a Tuesday morning, they had moved Salem out of the special care unit into a private room. And her nurse came in that morning, and he said to me, he said, "I don't know what your faith is, but I just want to tell you that I've got a chill from the top of my head to the bottom of my toes, and I just want you to know that your daughter's going to be just fine." And that night, she was able to see just a little bit out of her left eye. And over a period of the next few days, she was able to, her eyesight increased, but that was just a truly blessing to us. When she was a little girl, she spoke with her eyes, and I know this sounds like I'm making this up, but she just had those laughing, flashing eyes. Looking at her now, she's growing up and she can see, and I'm just thankful for the young lady she's turning out to be. She has a caring spirit, and she says she hopes to be a teacher someday, so if that's what she chooses, I think she'll do very well with that.
This, then, is what it means to be a child of Children's. It means you once received a special kind of care at Children's Hospital, an experience you will remember for a lifetime. It means you have a story to tell, and hopefully a wonderful future ahead of you.